There's a sneaker sitting on a shelf right now, under $100, built with the same vulcanized rubber outsole and full-grain suede upper you'd find on a pair north of $300, and almost nobody is talking about it. That's the thing about hidden gem sneakers under $100. They exist. They've always existed. But the algorithm doesn't reward them. The hype accounts don't post them, and the resale platforms couldn't care less, because there's no margin in telling you the truth. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on 8 of them. 8 sneakers, all under $100, that have absolutely no business being priced this low. And by the end of this, you're going to look at your shoe rack very differently. Here's the problem with the sneaker industry in 2026. You're not paying for the shoe anymore. You're paying for the campaign. You're funding the influencer trip to Tokyo. You're subsidizing the pop-up in Brooklyn that exists for 72 hours and generates 40 million impressions. According to a 2024 report from Edited, a retail analytics firm, the average markup on branded athletic sneakers sits between 8 and 12 times the factory cost. That means a shoe that costs $9 to produce and ship is hitting your cart at $110, $140, sometimes north of $200, and nobody blinks. We've been trained not to. But here's where it gets interesting. Not every brand plays that game. Some brands are running on thinner margins, spending next to nothing on celebrity deals, and putting that money back into materials. The result? Sneakers that compete with or outperform shoes at 2, 3, even 4 times their price point. I've spent weeks digging through material breakdowns, forum teardowns, and resale trend data to find the 8 best examples. These aren't your cousin's beater recommendations. These are engineered value. Shoes where the math simply doesn't add up in the consumer's favor. And for once, that's a good thing. Let's get into it. Before we hit the list, let's talk about why most budget sneakers are terrible. Because understanding that makes these 8 even more impressive. When a brand needs to hit a $50 or $60 retail price, corners get cut in a predictable order. First to go is the midsole compound. Instead of injection molded EVA, or anything with real energy return, you get die-cut foam that flattens inside of 2 months. Next, the upper material drops from full grain or quality suede to something the industry quietly calls action leather, which is a polite way of saying reconstituted scraps bonded with polyurethane. Then the outsole rubber thins out. The stitching goes from reinforced to decorative, and the insole becomes a glorified napkin. You feel the difference within a week. The shoe looks fine on day 1. By day 40, it's done. That's the budget sneaker trap. And it's why most people eventually give up and pay the premium. They assume expensive means durable, and cheap means disposable. But the 8 sneakers on this list break that assumption wide open. Every single one of them uses at least 2 material choices, typically reserved for shoes in the $150 to $250 range. That's not marketing language. That's based on cross-referencing bill of materials estimates from factory sourcing databases. So let's start counting. Number 8 is a brand that most sneakerheads scroll right past. And that's exactly why the price hasn't inflated yet. The Superga 2750, coming in around $65. This is an Italian heritage silhouette that's been in continuous production since 1925, and the construction has barely changed. Full cotton canvas upper, vulcanized natural rubber outsole, and a foxing tape seal that you typically only see on shoes twice this price. According to cobbler forums, and yes, those exist and they're brutally honest. The Superga 2750 is one of the most resolable canvas sneakers on the market. The rubber compound is dense enough to resist urban abrasion for months, not weeks. The estimated bill of materials on this shoe sits around $14. At $65 retail, that's a markup just under 5 times. Compare that to a comparable canvas shoe from a major athletic brand that runs $95 with an estimated material cost of $7. You're getting more shoes for less money, full stop. The catch? No hype, no collabs, no algorithmic push. Just a quietly excellent sneaker that outlasts most of its competition. Number 7, the Tretorn Nylite Plus, around $70. Tretorn has been making shoes in Sweden since 1891, and the Juste Nylite was originally designed as a tennis shoe in the 1960s. What makes it a hidden gem is the T-rubber outsole compound. Tretorn developed this formula for Scandinavian weather conditions, which means wet surface grip that embarrasses sneakers at 3 times the price. The upper is a tumbled leather that, based on material analysis from independent reviewers, grades out closer to top grain than the corrected grain leather you find on most sub-$100 shoes. There's a reason Tretorn doesn't need to discount aggressively. The people who know, and the resale market tells the story. Used pairs in decent condition regularly move for $40 to $50. That kind of value retention at a $70 entry point is almost unheard of in this price bracket. Number 6. The Puma Suede Classic. $65 to $75 depending on the colorway. Now I know what you're thinking. Puma Suede isn't exactly a secret, and you're right, it's not unknown. But it is dramatically undervalued. Here's why. The suede on the Classic model, not the Suede XL, not the platform variant, specifically the Classic, is a genuine split suede. With a nap density that independent material testers have compared favorably to shoes in the 120 to 150 range. The form strip is stitched, not glued. The herringbone pattern outsole uses a rubber compound that rates above average in abrasion testing. And the midsole is a compression molded EVA, not die cut. In my analysis, this is the most shoe you can get for under $75 in terms of raw material quality. The problem is the brand perception. Puma sits in this weird middle ground where it's not aspirational enough for hype culture and not technical enough for performance buyers. That perception gap is your advantage. Number 5, and this is where things start getting genuinely hard to explain. From a pricing standpoint, the Saucony Shadow Original, $80 to $85. Saucony is primarily known as a running brand, but the Shadow Original is a lifestyle shoe that happens to be built with running shoe discipline. The triangular lug outsole pattern was adapted from their performance line. The EVA midsole has a density rating that suggests actual energy return, not just cushioning. And the upper combines mesh panels with suede overlays in a way that delivers breathability and structure simultaneously. According to reviews compiled from enthusiast communities, the Shadow Original consistently ranks as one of the most comfortable sub-$100 sneakers available, not because of some gimmicky insole insert, but because the geometry of the last is genuinely well-engineered. The factory cost on this shoe, based on estimates from sourcing analysts, likely sits around $16 to $18. At $85 retail, you're looking at a markup of roughly 5 times. The industry average for branded lifestyle sneakers? 9 to 11 times. That delta goes directly into the quality of what's on your foot. These are the kind of details that most sneaker content never gets into because it doesn't generate clicks. If this breakdown is giving you a different lens on what you're actually buying, consider subscribing. We go this deep every single week, and the brands are not thrilled about it. Number 4. The New Balance 480, $85 to $90. New Balance has been having a moment for years now, but the hype has been concentrated on the 550, the 2002R, the 1906, shoes that have drifted above $100 and into resale territory. Meanwhile, the 480 sits quietly at $85 with a leather upper that, based on cross-section analysis shared in sneaker restoration communities, measures thicker and more consistent than the leather on the 550. Let that sink in. A shoe that costs $30 to $50 less is using what appears to be a better grade leather. The reason is simple. The 480 doesn't carry the collaboration premium. No celebrity attachment, no limited colorways driving artificial demand. It's just a well-made court-style sneaker built in a factory that New Balance actually controls. That vertical integration matters. When a brand owns the production pipeline, the savings tend to show up in the product rather than disappearing into third-party factory margins. Number 3, and I genuinely debated putting this one higher, the Reebok Club C, $85 to $85. The Club C might be the single most underpriced leather sneaker in the market right now. The upper is a soft garment leather, not the stiff, plasticky corrected grain leather that dominates this price tier. The die-cut EVA midsole is legitimately comfortable out of the box, which is rare for a minimalist silhouette. and the outsole uses a high-carbon rubber compound that wears down at a noticeably slower rate than comparable shoes. I spoke to a sneaker repair specialist in Portland who told me, without any prompting, that the Club C85 is one of the easiest shoes he works on, because the construction is clean enough to actually repair. That's a design philosophy you usually don't encounter until you're spending north of $200. The estimated factory cost sits around $11 to $13. The marketing spend? Minimal compared to the rebranded retro releases from competing brands. What you're getting is a legacy silhouette from 1985 that has survived 4 decades because the fundamentals are just right. Number 2. The ASICS Lite Classic. $80 to $90. ASICS has one of the most technically advanced gel cushioning systems in the footwear industry, and they've been quietly slipping elements of it into their lifestyle range for years. The Lite Classic features a rear foot gel insert, the same technology platform used in their performance running shoes that retail for $150 to $180. That alone makes the price incongruous. But then you add the suede and mesh upper, the Ortholite sock liner, which is a moisture-wicking insole material typically found in premium tiers, and a rubber outsole with ASICS proprietary tread pattern, and you have a shoe that is functionally overbuilt for its price. Based on teardown reviews from enthusiast blogs, the Lite Classic's material composition aligns more closely with ASICS shoes in the $120 to $140 range. Why is it priced at $80? Because ASICS' lifestyle division doesn't get the attention their performance division does. The Gel Kayano gets the press. The GT2000 gets the marathoners. The Lite Classic gets quietly purchased by people who've done the research and realized the value is absurd. And number 1, the sneaker I believe is the single greatest value proposition under $100 right now. The Karhu Mistari. $90 to $95. If you haven't heard of Karhu, you're not alone. And that's precisely the point. Karhu is a Finnish brand, founded in 1916. They actually sold their iconic 3-stripe trademark to Adidas in 1951 for the equivalent of roughly 1,600 euros and 2 bottles of whiskey. That's not a joke. That's documented history. Today, Karhu operates out of Finland with a design philosophy rooted in function over hype. The Mistari features a full suede upper with a density and hand feel that reviewers have repeatedly compared to common projects. A brand that charges over $300. The midsole uses a Fulcrum technology platform that Karhu developed for neutral running, delivering a ride quality that, frankly, has no right to exist at this price. The outsole rubber is a proprietary compound rated for Nordic winter conditions, which means on regular pavement, this thing is practically indestructible. The estimated bill of materials sits around $20 to $22. At $95 retail, the markup is under 5 times, one of the lowest ratios in the entire branded sneaker market. Karhu doesn't run Super Bowl ads. They don't have a signature athlete. They have 100+ years of shoemaking heritage and a product that, when you hold it in your hands, makes you wonder what exactly you've been paying for everywhere else. 8 sneakers, all under $100, and every single one of them outperformed shoes at double or triple the price in at least one critical metric. Whether that's material quality, construction integrity, cushioning technology, or long-term durability. That's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. The sneaker industry has spent decades conditioning us to associate price with value. Higher number on the tag, better shoe on your foot. But when you actually pull these things apart, when you look at the leather grades, the midsole compounds, the outsole rubber formulations, the factory sourcing, the correlation falls apart. Some of the most expensive sneakers on the market are running on the thinnest materials with the highest markups, banking entirely on brand equity built through marketing budgets that would make a pharmaceutical company blush. And some of the best built sneakers are sitting at $65, $75, $90, invisible to anyone who shops by logo instead of by spec sheet. So here's your takeaway. Next time you're about to spend $150, $200, $250 on a pair of sneakers, pause. Ask 3 questions. First, what is the upper actually made of? Not what the product page says in poetic language, but what is the material grade? Second, who is making this shoe? And does the brand control the factory or outsource to the lowest bidder? And third, how much of this price tag is the shoe? And how much of it is the story the brand told you about the shoe? If you can answer those 3 questions honestly, you'll never overpay again. The 8 pairs on this list prove that quality doesn't require a premium price. It requires a brand willing to put the money into the product instead of into convincing you the product is worth more than it is. Drop which sneaker caught you off guard in the comments. I'm genuinely curious which one you're picking up first. And if this changes how you think about what's actually on your feet, subscribe. We do this every week, and the sneaker industry would really prefer that we didn't.